Oh boy, if you had mentioned this particular video topic and commentary point a few years ago, I feel like Habs fans would have been over the moon. Because today, we are talking about a prospect in the Canadiens organization that was just mentioned in the same breath as some very notable National Hockey League players and guys that I think were, at some point, linked to the Montreal Canadiens. Today, what I wanted to do was head over onto some comments made by Pascal Vincent. He is the head coach of the Laval Rocket. Will he stay as the head coach of the Laval Rocket? Who really knows? But Vincent has been in a very good spot for the Laval Rocket because he's helped them get themselves into the Eastern Conference Finals of the AHL playoffs. Now, unfortunately, right now, as I am speaking into this microphone and before game number 4, the Laval Rocket are down 3-0 in their best-of-7 series to Charlotte, so yeah, with 5 goals against in every single one of these games, it's not looking too good for Vincent right now, but the fact is they're in the conference finals. You would rather see them make that than not make it at all. But today what I wanted to do was dive into some commentary made by Vincent in regards to one of the best young players the Habs have in their system, Florian Xhekaj'S, the younger brother of Canadiens D-man Arber Xhekaj, and a big forward who, at the moment, has 3 points in 12 Laval Rocket playoff games. Now, let's be real here. That sucks. That is not good at all. 3 points in 12 games. He has 57 penalty minutes, though. I mean, he had 20 of those penalty minutes in one game against the Charlotte Checkers earlier last week. But Florian Xhekaj's, despite the fact that his production in the playoffs has not been fantastic, he still was a very productive goal scorer in the AHL this season, scoring 24 goals in 69 contests in his rookie year. Xhekaj has a lot of interesting potential because, of course, he is a Xhekaj. He's a guy who can go out there and bite your head off and deliver the booms on the body checks too. But Pascal Vincent, the aforementioned head coach of the Laval Rocket, had some really good things to say about Florian and his game. I'm gonna leave a link in the description to this article published on Le Journal de Montréal that talks about how everybody wants these kinds of players. Pascal Vincent praising Florian Xhekaj's, he describes it as a pain to face for the opponent. This article was from about a week ago, May 23rd, by Dave Levesque, and the piece even highlights at the very beginning that, yeah, Florian Xhekaj's doesn't have many points. At the time of the article's publication, he only had 1 goal and 2 assists in 7 playoff games, but he has still been one of the Rockets' most valuable players. Yeah, that's right, he hadn't really produced more since 5 games ago, but still. The article writes here that the center, who will turn 21 in 5 weeks, has adapted brilliantly to the AHL game, and Pascal Vincent is not hiding his enthusiasm for what the young man can do. Everybody wants those players, the head coach admitted after the team's morning skate on Friday. When I worked in Winnipeg, we really liked Adam Lowry and what he brought to the table. I went to Columbus, and Pierre-Luc Dubois was there before I arrived, and Boone Jenner was a very good center. These are all players who can play a physical game, who are good defensively, and they can also play on the wing. I'm coming into the Canadiens organization and having a young guy like Florian Xhekaj's, who has so much potential, who is a good person, who works hard, and who is a good teammate. The value that Flo can have will depend on him and how he continues to progress. This guy didn't just compare Florian Xhekaj's to Adam Lowry, Pierre-Luc Dubois, and Boone Jenner, did he? It's kind of funny because, obviously he doesn't necessarily say directly, oh yeah, he's the next them. He's gonna be the next Dubois. Holy crap, folks, the Canadiens drafted a 3rd overall guy with their... What was Florian Xhekaj's taken in the 4th round of the 2023 NHL Draft? Yeah, right? 3rd overall caliber guy getting taken that late. But Pascal Vincent, who did have experience with some of these players, some of whom happen to be captains at the NHL level, and yeah, I said plural because literally Adam Lowry and Boone Jenner are captains for their respective hockey teams. It bodes very well when you think about Florian Xhekaj being mentioned in the same breath as two guys who happen to have had such a physical edge in their gameplay and leadership to boot that they have both donned the C for their respective organizations. That's a pretty strong comparison, and I don't necessarily think that Pascal Vincent is even saying that Florian Xhekaj has the same point production ceiling as a Dubois or whatever, but stylistically, this is where that discussion comes in. I do kind of question, though, because a lot of hockey fans in general, not just Habs fans or Blue Jackets fans, but just hockey fans, would look at the conversation being sparked up here by Vincent and say, hey, wait a minute, why are you mentioning Pierre-Luc Dubois in a conversation about leadership and being hard to play against and all this? Like, he gave up on 2-3 teams already, and sure, he's a good player, and he has that physical edge, and he's got tools, and he's a strong-bodied center, but man, was that guy absolutely not the example of leadership that you want to follow from a Columbus and Winnipeg perspective. This guy gave up on his teams, and even though he was good, even though he was talented, you can tell that there was a lot of under-the-hood issues between him being in Columbus and not wanting to commit there long-term. You can debate, oh, it's the coaching staff, which Pascal Vincent was a part of, by the way, but of course, John Tortorella is the main guy that everybody brings up. I just found it so interesting that Pascal Vincent is literally comparing this Habs prospect to a guy that Canadiens fans were talking about in Pierre-Luc Dubois for a good chunk of a year before he even got sent over to Washington and LA. He would only have accepted a trade with the Montreal Canadiens until that summer a few years ago, where all of a sudden Dubois was like, okay, maybe not Montreal. Maybe it doesn't need to be Montreal. Maybe I don't need to go home. Yeah, I can go to LA instead. And then the Jets are like, okay, we'll trade you to LA. And then he got traded there, and then he stunk. He signed the extension, and he wasn't good. And then they gave up on him. They sent him over to Washington, and probably the biggest win-win trade we have seen in the NHL the past few years. LA got a freaking fantastic goalie in Darcy Kemper. Washington got a really good top six center in Dubois, who is happening to play some of the best hockey of his life because he doesn't need to be a top-line center. Leave that honor to Lindstrom. Let Connor McMichael cook up there on the top six. Let Alexander Ovechkin continue to score all these goals. And let Pierre-Luc Dubois also cook in his own right, because there are so many depth pieces that the Capitals have. By the way, we didn't even mention Tom Wilson, Alexi Protas, lots of good top six caliber scoring in the Washington Capitals organization, and Lindstrom leading the charge takes a lot of that center pressure off of PLD. Not saying that Florian Xhekaj is going to necessarily get 60 points in an NHL season, but if he does follow in that same footstep mold, if you're thinking about Adam Lowry, Boone Jenner, or Pierre-Luc Dubois as the comparable names, then Florian Xhekaj is either going to be a 60-point caliber center at the NHL level, or he's going to be the next captain of the Montreal Canadiens. You can take your pick. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Pascal Vincent comparing Florian Xhekaj to some of these really, really impressive players. To end things off, we will go over these final comments made by Pascal Vincent. This is not it, by the way. There are so many other things that Vincent says in regards to Florian Xhekaj, but he does say here in the middle of the article, in Xhekaj's case, we don't really know his ceiling yet. I predict, and I'm speaking for myself, that Florian Xhekaj will eventually play games in the NHL. Will he establish himself? Well, that's going to be his job. Is he going to be a fourth line, third line, or second line guy? Eventually, he can also play wing. The fact that the possibility is right there, and we don't know at this point, that's what makes it very exciting now, doesn't it? So with all that in mind, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about Florian Xhekaj and his profile as a Habs prospect? Is he the next PLD? Let me know in the comments what you think. I hope you enjoyed this British Roll 99. And bye.